Good afternoon. Bow wow wow. Of course, he waits until I go live. Brr. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. I'm your humble host, Hawkeye Two Feathers, also known as David Null, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And for those of you who are regulars, yes, I'm still on the cell phone and trying to make it work. Howdy, Chloe. How are you? Let's see if I can make that work. Well, for a minute anyway. I forgot to plug it in earlier, and so it's like down to a certain percent, and I got the as long as I got it plugged in down here, it doesn't want to sit straight. So, but anyway, howdy, howdy. How are you, Miss Chloe? Oops, I'm in a silly mood tonight, or this actually it's this morning. Hang on, I can't deal with this. There, I just unplugged it. So, um, I hope y'all are doing well. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. Hey, Alex, how you doing? I wanted to get here before the 20 mark. We got 4 minutes, I think, and share with y'all. But in the meantime, I don't know if y'all do, but I have been for quite a few years as I am a prepper of sorts, because I still live like a pioneer, you know. I sometimes have been in situations over the last 40 years of living here to where, my well has run dry on several occasions. And, it's been so wet that water was flowing through the kitchen. And, so I've been here in this house now for 40 years and have been through all kinds of situations, right? So I feel like I'm prepared for a lot of stuff because a lot of stuff has happened to me while I've lived here. you know, I've had a lot of practice at prepping. I've got, 1,000-gallon tank behind the house with full of rainwater. And thank God we've been getting rain here last night and today because we sure have needed it. But so I have a lot of prepper channels that I have subscribed to. And of course, there are a lot of other prepper channels out there and folks who I say they think they know what they're doing. And I don't mean to put them down, but here's one thing that I have noticed that I think that these people have lacked. Okay. Here it is. They don't talk about pooping. They talk about building fires. They talk about building shelters. They talk about doing this and they talk about doing that, but they don't talk about pooping. They don't. I'm sorry, but they don't talk about pooping. And everybody does it normally at least once a day. Some people aren't that quite that regular, but I would like to say that most of us do it at least once a day, you know. And so, but here's the thing, they build these houses. They will show you how to build a mud house in 2 weeks, but they never show you how they go to the toilet. They never show you whether or not there is an outhouse nearby, their structure in the woods. They build these 2-story contraptions. Do you ever see a toilet in it? I mean, do you ever see where they would use one of the little rooms or something, or an alcove or something, as a toilet facility? Not, I won't say that no, they don't, but I've not seen one yet. Thus, this video. So, where do these prepper folks poop? There's a pause there on purpose, right? Plus, it's about 20 minutes after the hour. Oh, hey, Richard, how you doing? Was thinking about you earlier today and wondering if I could be on and so I could catch you here and just say hi. A hole in the ground or a bucket. That's right, Chloe. Now I was gonna get to how or what to do. And for me, there's in this room right through here, in my bathroom, beside the toilet, is a 5-gallon bucket, because a while back I was having issues with my septic tank. I still have issues with my septic tank, but it's working enough to where I can flush it every couple of days. Ooh, what? Yeah, well, I don't poop that much, but and trying to not overload the system. But when systems are bad, I have pooped in the bucket, and then of course you got to empty it, but you don't hear of anybody out there, at least I haven't. All right. Oh, it's time. It's a 20. I cleaned it out today. As you know, it's I can't share pictures. I love you too, my brother, Richard. Hope you're doing well over yonder. So I'm thinking to myself, as a Boy Scout, or a former Boy Scout, but I think I still am a Boy Scout. But anyway, one of the first things we did when we went camping was if there was not a toilet available, is that you dug a latrine, okay? Latrine duty. And that basically you dug a trench, so deep, you piled the dirt on one side. And what I've learned over the years is you pile the dirt towards you. So in case you miss the trench, it will hit the pile of dirt and you can kind of push it in. I know people say, well, this is gross. Well, yeah, if you're in a prepping situation and the lights go out and your water goes off, what are you going to do when your toilet fills up full of poo? If it's just me, well, I can go outside. Well, but go outside. Well, what if you live in a neighborhood, in a community? Is everybody going to be out on the lawn pooping? You know, bucket it. That should be on your bucket list, to have a bucket. you know, and they sell at Walmart and other places. But since I don't go to other places other than Walmart sometimes, and I've had this thing for years, because when I go camping, one thing that I want, because I'm old, is when I go camping, I a lot of times, and I haven't been camping in a while, but when I have gone camping in the past, I go to places that don't necessarily have a place to poop, you know. And when I gotta go, I don't want to have to go lean up against the tree. I'm 71 and I'm too old for that shit. Okay. So, and literally, and I might poo on my pants or on my feet or something like that. I'm too old for this, right? And especially with since because I have a truck, I can carry a bucket, So, but at home, if people's lights go out and stuff, now I've got 5-gallon buckets all over the place for all kinds of stuff. Use the cat method and go in the neighbor's garden. I like that, Richard. Yeah, yeah. Go over there and scoop it out a little bit and poop in the hole. Well, for me, and being old and with a bad back, I've had to reconsider my pooping habits, if you will. Because back in the day, I've had issues with my left leg because of a football accident y'all have heard me talk about. So my leg doesn't bend. Well, so my squatting to close to the ground, which is what most people should be able to do, 80% of folks should be able to do. To drop your drawers, to pull them all the way up. Otherwise, you're going to pee or poop in your underwear or in your drawers or something. Pull them all the way up. Now, if you're on a lean-to kind of thing, if you have built yourself a latrine, to your ankles is okay. And don't be embarrassed, don't be embarrassed. If you've had to build a latrine, the last thing you should be is embarrassed when your dinglings are hanging down or your coochie's hanging out. No, go and just don't even think about it. Hopefully, if you have to dig a latrine, it's not, outside next to the pool where the neighbors can see uh, you know. But now if you're in it tight, a lot of us country folk, men and women, okay, simply lean up against the tree with your feet out. You lean up against the tree, and here's the tree, and you push with your feet up against the tree, and you poop down there, right? Well, that works up to a point. And I'm telling you, make sure that, you're better off if you go ahead and pull your drawers off at least 1 foot, because you will have the tendency, if the poop is a little runny, it's going to run into the back of your drawers. Now you say, well, Dave, now this is just gross. Yeah, but if you get into a situation and you don't have many clothes or you're in a survival situation, you're going to learn really quick. I just shit on myself. I just pooped in my own drawers. And it's like, yes, it's ooh, yes. But if you have never done it, and if you've never had the practice of being in the woods and had to poop somewhere, then you're going to learn real quick, oh my God, I should not have done that. I should have done something else. Right now, so where you do it is like, well, you can arbitrarily and leaning over against something, and you should look on the internet. If you've not thought of this and you don't have a bucket, you should at least explore, what is a latrine? How do you make one? How do you set one up? You know, you dig a trench, you build this little thing, and then what you do is you lean your butt over and you aim for the trench, you know. And here's the thing I want to discuss. Here I poop in the ocean. Well, I don't have that luxury. And I have, years ago, I was in the river and had to go, and there was no other place for me to go, and kind of thing. And I let a deuce go in while I was in the river, and I gotta say that was one of the most weirdest experiences. And then when that turd comes up next to you in the river because it's a floater, you go, "Oh my God!" and you push it away. But at least it went downstream. you know, I know this is a shitty subject, all right? And anybody that watches this is going to go, oh my God, he's talking about poop. Well, it's in the title, the first word, poop for preppers, okay? But if you've not ever thought of these things, and I'm trying to make it humorous but if you've out in a situation and you've got the runs and you go, oh my God, Dave, don't talk about this. But you got to understand that what you eat is what you poop. And you go, well, that's kind of obvious. No, it isn't. Okay. And I have talked about this before, but a little bit in some previous videos, not about prepping or anything, but just because I go off on a tangent sometimes. But here's the thing. I want another 20. But here's the thing. If you're a prepper, then what you should do is learn how to prep in your mind. What should I eat so I don't get the runs? Hold that thought. And you go, well, wait a minute. What are you talking about? I didn't read the title. Shitty subject indeed. Absolutely. So, but here's my thing. So all these preppers are saying, "Ooh, get beans and rice." Okay, protein and rice and hold it together. So, okay, all right. But here's something that the preppers don't tell you. All right, and that these other people don't tell you, because I don't necessarily. Hey, Travis, how you doing? Yeah, oatmeal. That's a good one, actually, because it don't make you fart normally. So you got all these beans. Now, what do beans normally do to people? It gives them gas. Now, if you soak them right, if you do a double soaking, as some folks do, you can get some of the fart out of the beans. But if you've had beans and rice for 3 or 4 days in a row, you might have a tendency to have your poo being a little on the runny side. Always on the runny side, keep it on the runny side, always on the runny side of life. Keep it on the runny side. Hey, Katniss, I'm talking about runny poo, and not Winnie the Pooh, but runny poo. He's the shitty kid in the neighborhood. But anyway, you know, but I'm serious about that. Nobody talks about it because they don't want to say anything. But for example, does anybody ever talk about toilet paper? Well, if you're a true prepper, you don't prep with toilet paper. All right? What? You don't prep with toilet paper. I'm going to repeat that 3 times is a magical. Don't prep with toilet paper. Prep with paper towels. Because if for some reason, I'm like, if you're out in a camping or something like that, still don't take toilet paper with you. Why? Because if it gets wet, it will disintegrate. Paper towels, if they get wet, you can dry them back out. I have dried toilet paper rolls back out that have gotten soggy or something on a camping trip, but it's never the same. So take paper towels for wiping yourself. Oh my God, but it's so rough and my poor tender ass. Oh, get over it, But paper towels, and you can cut them into little squares. You can tear them, the paper towels. You don't have to use the whole damn thing. If you fold it and crease along the paper towel, you can tear it. And then you can fold it again into quarters, you know and you can be delicate when you can pat, ladies, instead of rub. But toughen that bunghole up, because if you're truly the prepper and you think that something might actually come your way, you should prepare, which also means practice wiping your butt with some paper towel. Okay, and like I said, I don't mean the whole damn thing. Quarter that some bitch, and you could prepare some of it and cut paper towels into quarters and put them in a plastic bag. You're better off than having toilet paper that once it gets wet, it will disintegrate. Okay. So that's out if you're in the woods or whatever. Hey, Michelle, how you doing? So, I was thinking, of one of my wives. She was like, you don't have a coochie, Dave. So you don't know what it's like. And I'm like, well, toughen that coochie up, honey. It's either that or, And we went camping when we was on an overnight camping trip in a canoe on the Buffalo River, and the toilet paper got wet. And I was like, I told you, I told you, I told you, I told you. But what am I going to do? How am I going to wipe? Well, I told you, I told you. You try to dry out that roll of toilet paper. We were prepared, but she wasn't, And I was like, where's them paper towels at? Well, I don't know. And I'm like, in the woods, baby, wipes are your best friend. Absolutely. And you can take a shower with them, kind of thing. So, but yeah, absolutely, but take some baby wipes. But for wiping it, you want something that you can just showing up, throw away. And baby wipes you can, but baby wipes you could use over. I would not, wipe yourself and reuse paper towels. But I'm saying that if you have your druthers of, then use paper towels, please. So that's one object. So, but you're prepping, and what are you going to do? You need to watch your diet. Do not eat something that's going to give you the flipping runs. Don't do it. Well, I really like this, and it's easy to make, but the next day you're like, oh, you're like a covey of quail, and it's like, and now what do I do? And you're wiping, and you wish you had a bidet, and you got your canteen, trying to wipe all the splatter off your butt. And it's nasty, especially when you camping or when you don't have the full facilities. Now, if you're at home and the lights go out and stuff, but you don't have any water in the city, and your water goes out or for whatever reason. And, a lot of people down here in the South, I've got water stored. Okay. Other people don't. So if the lights go out around here and down here in the South, especially for a long time, folks do have limited water when the power goes out. But if the power's out for a couple of days, all these folks around here have deep wells. I can go out there in my yard and throw a bucket down if there's water in there and pull me out some water. I can get by, you see, because I dug my own well, which most people don't do. Man, in a lot of places it's illegal these days. But to the point, I still got it and it's grandfathered in. But, you know, they could come out here and check it, and for some reason, Mister, no, we had to fill this thing in. Oh, that would be horrible. But anyway, but to the point, I just have to dig it out again. But to the point, though, for folks who live in neighborhoods and things, your electricity goes out, and you don't have any water for some reason. How you going to flush? Okay. Do you have any backup situation for water? Well, no. Then, so there was a situation where I was a maintenance man for a bunch of properties in Thomasville. Got a call from somebody, their toilet was backed up. Apparently, it had been backed up for at least a week. I went into this house, and there were a bunch of black folks living there. And it was a shame because they had filled up the toilet, was overflowing with poo. Okay. And they had almost, the bathtub was half full of poo. Okay. It was nasty. It's one of the nastiest things I have ever been around. How these people hung over the tub without falling in to poo and do it, just unbelievable. So, but they were like, "But what were we supposed to do? Do something, but to poo in your tub, you know?" Okay, well, what were we supposed to do? I honestly, I didn't know. I couldn't give them an answer. But to the point, though, you pooed in the tub. So there are folks who would poo in the tub because they don't have another situation. Well, here's the thing. If your lights go out and you don't have any water and you can't flush, put a plastic bag in your toilet and poo in the plastic bag. Okay? Because then you can take Now you could poo 2 or 3 times in a plastic bag, depending on situations. And then you take that plastic bag up, you tie it up, and you can get rid of that plastic bag. But where these folks, and even it's like if your toilet's clogged up and you can't get a plastic bag in there, if you gotta hang your butt over a tub, hang it into a plastic bag and poo in that so you can get rid of it. You go, Dave, oh my God, this is horrible. Listen, I have seen people in desperate situations do the dumbest shit with their shit, you know? And so it's like, make sure you got some plastic bags around, and the smaller garbage, the tall garbage bags, for things or versus the big garbage bags. They get the smaller ones for the smaller jobs, but you can learn to poo in a plastic bag if you need to. Let me tell you, if you don't have another situation, plastic bag. Okay. Now, for me, for men, and with my kidney conditions and my back issue and all that kind of thing, you must not like the neighbors much. When doggy bag it up and post it to the neighbors. You If we lived closer, I could send you plastic bags full. You know, me and Duggar could contribute to the. Of course, he's got all this acreage he can go out and poo in, but to this point though, you hear of all these preppers and they talk about all this good stuff, and there are thousands of subscribers, and I've just never heard them talk about pooing, and it's like, or watch your diet if you're going out there. I saw some guy who was putting Mexican stuff on his rice and all this other thing, and I was like, man, if I put that on my whatever's, man, my butt would be arguing the next day, you know. And so if you're preparing for the worst and all you have is beans and rice, you're going to be farting a lot, which means that your poo might be not necessarily what you really want it to. We would like for it to be as solid as possible. Okay, you don't want this kind of situation when you're in the woods or prepping, or if the lights have gone out. You do not want that situation, because then if that's this thing, then a ring of fire. That's good, Katniss. Absolutely. That a-hole down there is like, oh goodness gracious me. Somebody just put a torch to my anus. My prostate is on fire, baby Jean. But so anyway, if you're gonna prep, then prep with that in mind. I'm gonna prep things that I can eat that's not gonna make my stomach run. Okay? It's not hard. If you don't know what gives you the runs by now, then you're a dumbass. you know, oh my God, every time I eat them burritos, I get the runs. Well, don't eat the sons of bitches. I mean, yeah, but I love them. Yeah, but then the next day you're sitting on the commode going, so pay attention, pay a damn attention. Yeah, but I love them things. Well, if I was to drive into the parking lot of a Taco Bell, I would get the runs. Do you hear me? If I just drove in the parking lot of one of a Taco Bell, I would get the runs. I don't have to go in. I don't have to get out of the vehicle. All I got to do is drive in the parking lot. I will get the runs. Okay. 5-gallon bucket, bags, and a pool noodle for the rim seat. Right. It's so easy. but people don't think that way, Travis. You and I might think that well, but my point is, have you ever watched a prepper show or something that said, here's how to make here's how to make a quickie toilet or something, or here's what you do, or if you're in the wild and you don't have a bucket, you know? So, to go one step further, um, what rim seat cushioning is a must. Yeah. But honestly, if you're in a tight, you didn't come, you know, you didn't come to read a book. You came to let it out and get up. You know what I mean? You wait till the last second and you're hovering around that rim and you spread them cheeks and plop it down and it comes straight out and you're done. You get back up. So, it is nice to have something on the rim seat and all, but I mean, in that, if you don't, and they sell for like 6 or 8, $10 toilet seats that snap onto 5-gallon buckets. Okay. So they have, because my 5-gallon bucket in my bathroom over here has the plastic seat on it. So, if you plan ahead, you know, and for the $10 that you got it, if you ever need that 5-gallon bucket, that $10 seat comes in handy. And it's always good, and unless you busted or something, it's always good. Now, if you don't have that plastic toilet seat to go on that bucket, then, and you're really, I don't have a pool noodle hanging around. And if I'm going to try to put a pool noodle around the top of the rim of that thing, I might as well go ahead and spend $10 and get a plastic seat to go on that 5-gallon bucket. You know what I mean? So, but a little bit of planning ahead. Now, because I've done a lot of camping and because living here at my house is just one step up from camping, it's almost like camping. Um, Duggar loves it. But the thing is that I think more preppers should discuss how they plan on pooping, you know, and what are you eating? All these preppers have all these different kinds of food in these pouches and stuff. Okay, fine. Now, one of these, I've got some of these, and one of them is like a Mexican dinner thingy. Well, now I'm going to avoid that because what I know about my own system. So I think people need to take stock of their system before they go buying some Mexicali dinner in a pouch. That again, well, not again, but that they may not have ever tried. So, my prepper friends, if you have bought Patriot Supply, I'm using that. I don't know, and I'm not speaking bad about them. I don't, okay, but that's just one. If you've got Patriot Supply stuff, then you need to open up and try that stuff in them pouches because you might get down the road and need that stuff and find out that, ooh, this Mexicali, whatever it is, tastes like shit and it gives me the runs. You might not like it. Well, I got a whole case of this stuff. Now, what are you going to do? So buy the stuff from your different suppliers, okay? And I don't mean bad about Patriot Supplies. This was not a knock on them. I'm just saying, you should try what's in them pouches, no matter who you buy it from. If you have not tried what's in them pouches first, you might go, whoops, I really don't like this. But you got 6 months supply of it. Yeah, but I don't really like it. Well, you bought it. Now what are you going to do? So if you have not tried it and 6 months down the road you need it, and you open up a package of whatever it is by whoever makes it, okay, and you go, oh my God, this stuff sucks. Or it might taste good as hell, like some kind of Mexican mexo thingy. But because of the ingredients, the next morning you've got the runs. So that's the your prepping has done you a disservice, right? Because you really haven't prepped. You bought this stuff thinking, yeah, it'll be okay. Yeah, I like Mexican food. Yeah, but you ain't tried that. You ain't opened up a pack and tried it yourself. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to be, you should be practical. If you're going to buy these foods and stock up on them, which I think you should try them out. Why? Because I bought a bunch of stuff years ago, and it got to the point where I said, well, some of this stuff is probably going bad. And after about 6 years, I had it stored out in the shed. And I went out there and opened up a couple of cans of this, that. It was dehydrated food. I tried to rehydrate it. It would not. There was corn, dried corn in this one, five, number 10 can, dried corn. I tried to rehydrate it, and it was like, this stuff was supposed to have been good for 20 years. If I had waited and something had really happened bad and I was dependent upon that can of food for me and my family, we would have starved. And thank God I didn't need it. But as I opened up, I had like 10 cans of different stuff, right? And as I opened these cans of dried vegetables and whatever and tried to rehydrate them, nope, it didn't work. And by the way, it was something that the Mormons were selling, because all the Mormons are trying to be, I don't know how they are now, but, Latter-day Saints, they're all, trying to be prepared. And I got food under their beds and stuff. And so, but I tried this stuff, and oh my God, every single can of this stuff that I had paid good money for, some of this stuff was $20 and $30 a can for this free dried food. And so I don't know if any of them Mormon folks that I bought it from had ever tried any of that stuff that they bought from through their church. But hey, Durant's, how are you? So back from the White House with Obama. But at the end, I won. That's good. I'm for the quiet life. Yeah, Katniss. So, but anyway, so in prepping, not just in the pooping factor, but so you have opened something that, let's say it's a year or two down the line, and you've opened this stuff that, ooh, it's a pescetti sauce or something, and you open it up and you mix it up the way you're supposed to and everything, and you go to eat it, and it's like, oh my God, this stuff is like, hey, blah. And you're eating it, and you go, oh, gee, many crisp, and you got to eat it because that's what you freaking got. You bought it, you paid for it, but you never tried it ahead of time. So if you've got stuff that you have purchased from some supply store, try it out, please. Because from my previous experience of working with some of this, now, I mean, even with some of the older, I've got an MRE in the kitchen, and I've been threatening one of these days to open that puppy. Now it's an old Army issue MRE. But as much as I've never, let's see, how do I put this? I've had several MREs in my lifetime, not like 100 of them, but maybe 15, okay, at least. And open them up, and whatever's in them, it's never been a bad MRE. It's just some are better, you know. And it's like, well, I don't really like this, but everything, it was edible, and it didn't give me the runs the next day, So, and I mean regular MRE in the pouch, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, um, but some of these other things, and I would offer my suggestion to you, open up a package and try it, you know, because God forbid you need that stuff and find out it's to you, it's inedible. Somebody else might go, man, I love this Mexican chip, and they eat it right up, and it doesn't affect their stomach. But to me, I might try to eat that Tex-Mex stuff and go, that's it, tacos crumbled up into some kind of sauce, and I go eat a little bit, and that's it. My stomach's going to rumble no matter whatever it is that's in there. It's going to mess with me. So, more plain rice and maybe a little butter or something, and sprinkle. And but the other thing too is, like I was saying, people prep a lot with beans and rice, dried beans and rice, dried beans. There's nothing wrong with that, but beans give you gas. Okay. If you're going to have beans and rice, learn how to cook the beans that you can cook some of the fart out of it. And what do I mean? Well, you soak the beans first. And as they soak it up, then you bring them to a boil. All right. And then you bring them to a boil for just a couple of minutes, you know, and let them sit. And the heat in the pan, they will literally bubble, while you're gone. And they're still sitting in the water, but, now you've brought them up to a boil and it's sort of activated the beans, right? And they'll sit there and they'll literally bubble. If you come back in a little bit, sometimes some of the beans will actually leave a foam on top because they have farted. Then you pour that water off. You don't keep it, right? You pour that water off and start with some fresh water. And then you add all your salts and things and this and that and all your good flavoring and whatever you're going to use. And then you cook them beans, you know? So, but most folks are cook the cook the fart out of the bean. Yep, that's what you do. You're almost crying. Well, when you come back in and, somebody first taught me that, black eyed peas, for example. And black eyed peas, not so bad, but she had done the same thing. She go, well, you got to take the fart out of them. And some Southern folk will add a little vinegar to the water. I'm not sure, it doesn't hurt anything, but they add a little vinegar to the water. Or one of the other thing is in cooking, I can't remember if it's the first or the second, but they'll add some baking soda to the water to help get the fart out. Come on, baby, get the fart out. Every time I bend over, I get the fart out. My darling, you know, a kiss for a fart, a farterlingual, a gaseous situation. Don't like that puppy, you'll blow us to kingdom come. That's never light a match in an outhouse. Boom. Hey, well, how come? Because all the farts, them gaseous farts. But I mean, so in prepping, not only should you figure out where you're going to sit at some point, because you're going to have to, no matter, I don't care where you are, if you have, gotten something's happening, if you broke down in the Appalachian Mountains and you can't find a road and you got to walk a long ways, which has happened to me. But all of a sudden your dinner's coming or your breakfast is coming and you got to take a poo and you're somewhere. Now, this is something that I have inadvertently learned in my long time old age. Because my nose will run at odd times and things, and Kleenex does not work on this nose and what's up here, right? And Kleenex does not work. So paper towels. So I have paper towels for my nose wiping. All right. Now I do use, toilet paper for wiping my rear end, but I have paper towels nearby in case the situation gets messy. Okay. I know that's TMI, right? But the paper towel thing. So I have, because my nose runs, I inadvertently carry a paper towel in my back pocket a lot of times. Okay. There's a paper towel folded in quarters in my back pocket. Or I've got into a restroom somewhere and I've used the paper towels to dry my hands, and I will fold them up and put them in my back pocket. You go, well, Dave, how come, Hawkeye, what the hell is up with that? Well, because there have been times when that paper towel in my back pocket has literally saved my ass, whether I've had to use it for because of my nose dripping or something else, or I have cut myself and used that paper towel to, stop the bleeding. I mean, that paper towel has come in handy. And there has been a time or two when I was out on the road coming home from town and I had to poo like hell. And there was no, it was like one of them runny things. And I stopped in a place and got out of the truck and did my business. And I didn't have anything to wipe with except that paper towel in my back pocket. So I'm just saying, you can prep in a lot of ways. And, ladies, you can carry a couple of folded paper towels in your purse if you got one, and there's just guys, depending, you say, well, that's just stupid. Well, it just back in the day, people used to carry a thing called a handkerchief, you know, and they came in handy for all kinds of stuff. Well, instead of carrying a handkerchief, then I'm carrying a paper towel. But I'm a prepper in all kinds of ways, and because of my old age and and weirdness with bowel movements and nose drips and things, I have just learned that a paper towel in the back pocket ain't a bad thing, right? So, but if you have learned, whatever your bodily functions are, that you have learned to prep for yourself. In other words, it might not matter to nobody else, but like for myself, I'm gonna put a Kleenex or a paper towel or two in my back pocket. If I'm in someplace new and I don't know where stuff is, and my nose might to go to running or something like it apps to do, then hey Barry, how are you? Then I'm gonna have a couple of paper towels in my back pocket because I know better, right? Just in case. And now a lot of times that I don't need them, but just in case. So, but what have you learned about yourself, or maybe about your spouse who might be brain dead for some of this? Honey, where's the paper towels at? Well, dumbass, you don't know. Honey, where I made a bad boo boo. Where are the paper towels? Honey, I need a sponge, How come, baby? Well, I done shit all over myself, It's running down my leg and it's all in my socks. Now what do you do, right? So, if you've got a spouse, then is your spouse, man or woman or otherwise, are they smart enough to, have something for themselves in the future? It's like, honey, have you learned how to sit on um, a bucket? Well, why should I learn how to do that, baby? Because if the lights go out and we lose power and we don't have no water, and you might not be able to poo on the toilet. What you talk about? Because when you sit on the toilet, you're in there for a good 30 minutes. Do you think you can balance your big fat ass on a bucket for 30 minutes while you take your dump if we need it in a prepper situation? Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, and then something happens. I know somebody that this happened to, and they were like, oh my God, I didn't know. You asked me to sit on that bucket. And it was like, we warned you. We warned you. Practice do something else. And I mean, this guy was 250, 60, 75, or, and he's like trying to hover over this bucket. And his legs a little short, so his butt was elevated like this, and he couldn't really aim over that bucket with his large white ass. And I mean, it's large white ass. Lord have mercy, don't put a, at nighttime, don't put a flashlight over there. It's going to blind you. And so it's like, the poor guy, and I was just like, I did not feel bad for him. I was sitting over there on a log, just laughing my ass off, going, "We warned you, you dumbass." Well, I didn't know what y'all. We said learn how to sit on a 5-gallon bucket. Well, I thought there's going to be a thing. So he brought just a 5-gallon bucket with no lid, you know, and he was overhanging that rim so bad. Now you can just close your eyes for just a second and imagine this 250 pushing 300-pound man with his big old fat cheeks hanging out on either side of this thing. And, and just, it was pathetic. It was pathetic, but it was funnier than hell. It's like, we warned you, you dumb buck. We told you you should, do better than that. We told you should practice, you know, or bring a real lid on that thing. Hey, Amber Dawn, how you doing? So, but anyway, I am trying to make this humorous because it's a shitty subject, and it's the shits, man, with a Z, shiz. Um, Shazam! I done pooped in my drawer. That there was a time when I had to, there too many times where I've had to, poop somewhere in the wilderness or pull off in the woods on a trip or something. You can't find a gas station, and you really gotta go. And I mean, it's a horrible situation, and your stomach upset, and horrible situations, right? And I just remember one time leaning up against a tree thinking I had it, right? And then by the time I got done, the back of my pants, there was more poo in the back of my pants than was on the ground or around the tree I was leaning up against. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't have anything to change into at the time. There was no way to wash up. Oh my God. And you just have to find stuff and do the best you can. And you pulled over because you couldn't find a restroom to begin with, and you were in a highly alert situation. So now there's a roll of paper towels in my truck at all times. There's stuff in the back of my truck. There is a bucket back there, but that was used for something else. But yeah, a real shit show. Yeah. But a collateral damage from friendly fire, friendly bombing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I looked down and went, oh no. And with my bad back and this and that and a bad leg, and I had just, and did not know that the butterfly situation was going to be like it was. And, it splashed off the tree. That's enough. That's enough, right? Boy Scout motto: be prepared. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, at least paper towels, at least paper towels. That goes for men and women. At least paper towels. But in the future of prepping, people are buying food and stocking up on this and that. And it's like, absolutely, stock stuff that's cheap and easy to, take care of, but know how to cook it, you know, know what you're doing, know how to get the extra gas out, kind of thing. And don't plan every meal that's going to be beans and rice, plan something else. Use, fava beans with a bit of Chianti, I'm sorry. I just had this, What's his name? In the Silence of the Lambs. But anyway, I was driving, hurrying home, got home, drifted into my yard by the house, popped the door, stepped out on the ground, and my butt hanging out the door of my. Yep. What the fudge is going on with humanity? That's a good one. I don't know, Deroms. It seems like they're shitting out their ears. You know, I mean, or some of them are. It's coming out their mouth, but yeah, it's we got 10 minutes, 9 minutes. Yep, it is 111 here. 611 where Katniss is. Oops, starting early. But so anyway, in some of these some of these homesteading shows, okay, and I'm not naming names of anybody, and if you think, well, he's talking about this person and them, maybe, but I doubt it. Um, you know, I've seen it in the tiny homes series where they say, and here is a compost toilet. Cool. And it's a tiny little bathroom, and but here's the compost toilet. Say, okay. So you can poo like a cat and use a little bit of something in there, or you could use kitty litter if you got a cat. To sprinkle over your stuff, right? Um, but in all of the survival shelter things that I've seen, I have yet to see a latrine. I have yet to see an outhouse. I've seen them where they build a hothouse, where they can take a steam bath, but then where do you poop? I mean, and some of these things are really nice and they're really elaborate and things and stuff, and they look nice and warm and cozy, and they've got all this. I'm thinking of this one guy. He built this thing in between two hills, and he notched them out, and it was a really nice job. But but where do you poo? Where did you he had this in the back, and he installed his stove, and he did all these things, this nice little shelter, but there's a foot of snow on the ground, and his hut's covered over. And where are you pooing in the wintertime or anytime? But where are you pooing? Or for me, where you gotta, I gotta pee a lot, you know. So where are you peeing? So no, now for me, I carry in my truck, and I purchased a while back, and my pops, when he was old, he had a pee jug. And I was like, Pops, what? He goes, man, old age. He goes, he did a lot of delivering in his little Isuzu truck. And he said, sometimes I got to pee and I can't get anywhere, and I'm not going to pee myself. And so he had this pee jug. So I now have a pee jug because I'm 71, and I have gotten past the age where he started using one. But I got to the age of about 65 and realized that I'm going to need one of these things, right, in my truck when I'm driving around. And, you know, um, in 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you're fine in town, but on the way home, all of a sudden you got to pee. You got to pee. I got to pee. I pee before I go to town, so I know I can get to town. But what if I'm driving around, which has happened, and I can't find a damn store or someplace that's got a toilet, and I'm fudge. I got to pee. I got to pee. And I mean, now there ain't no holding it, right? So, but anyway, I bought a jug of liquid soap. Okay. that has a wide mouth opening. All right. And because it's easier to hit, that's why. Well, can't you get one of these other and pee in a Coke bottle or something? No. And when you're in a hurry and you're trying to find the hole, and no, you want to be able to have a hole that's this big that you don't have to aim. You just shove that puppy near it and pee because it's coming out all by itself. So, for those of you who aren't old and don't have that problem, you will still run across issues where it's not safe to pee here, but you can kind of fake it in your vehicle. All right. So, goddamn, there's no place to go. And if I get out, if I stand up, I'm going to pee down my leg. Oh my God. So, but anyway, so it's one of the small jugs of liquid soap, right? With the large lid. Now it's got the little plastic spout in there. You just pop that puppy off, and then you've got a nice pecan. And the lid will close nicely. And then when you get to somewhere, then you can pour it out. Rinse it out with something now because it'll go to stinking. But as a younger man, I was like, God, I hope I never have to use that, Pops, when I was younger. And now I think back and I go, man, I sure see where you needed this, Pops, because I'm having to do this now. Keep up. What's this jug doing in your car, Dave? Let me go. No, don't you throw that thing out. Hell no, that's my pee jug, you know? So there are so why did I bring up the pee jug? Well, for gentlemen, if you have a pee jug, and don't go in and fill up the 5-gallon bucket with pee. Okay. Pee in a pee jug. And then take that pee jug out by a tree somewhere and pour it out and rinse it out with a little bit of water. And, say, well, I got to pee for guys. Now, I know you ladies have to sit down, or I know some girls, they could just, spread their legs and they're good to go. They can pee better than a guy can. But so for guys, have a pee jug, and you go, well, I don't need one. Yes, be polite. Well, I got a 5-gallon bucket I can go pee in. Yeah, well, you can, but get yourself a pee jug. Are you going to need it all the time? No, but when you need it, or when you should use it, then you got it. Plan ahead. Well, I'm not going to need this, but you're not prepping yet. You haven't lost the electricity. You still have had water in your wherever you live. So don't. But that's the point of prepping. You don't know if you're going to need it, but son of a bitch, I should have listened to Hawkeye about a pee jug. Damn it, man. If I had one of them things now, I wouldn't be in this. I wouldn't have wet myself. Well, so get yourself one, son, and quit trying to, oh, well, I don't need one. Well, I'll never use it, or I'll never blah, blah, blah. Well, listen, there's been times when that pee jug, when it was empty, I needed it for water. What if you run out of gasoline and you ain't got a jug? You can put some in one of them things and you might get you by. So that pee jug can come in handy for a lot more than just peeing. You say, what? Listen, if I run out of water, or your radiators run out of water, or it's overheated, and you don't have anything to put any liquid in. Well, you got this pee jug that just so happens to be empty, or you can empty it and fill it full of water, and or pee in it a lot, and use it for for an overheated radiator. So a pee jug, can come in handy for a lot of other things other than just peeing in, So, but anyway, so uh, there was one woman that said, well, those mouths are almost big enough that she could just about pee in it. And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't want to look down there and see if are you hitting the thing or not. But okay, so I won't go there because I don't have enough information about women using pee jugs. Okay. But to the point though, be prepared. You know, that pee jug, like I said, an empty jug in for whatever, rinse it out good. You know, I mean, if it's got soap in it and I bought the thing and literally poured the soap out of it. You know, I didn't even use, I poured it in a bigger jug of soap, but to the point where I just poured it out because I needed a pee jug. Somebody had thrown out my pee jug, you know. Why'd you throw it out? Well, it was empty. Well, yeah, it was supposed to be empty, you know, trying to help me out, you know. But so help yourself out and think about those bare necessities, simple bare necessities. We got 1 minute coming up here. So all these people make these videos. A cup, a cup and spout. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you could use the top of one if you've cleaned it out well as a cup. That's true. Yeah, that's interesting. If that's what you mean. Yep, we're all really not prepared for an EMP attack. That's very true. Was talking about it with a friend of mine yesterday, and we live out here in the country, you know, and we can get by if the electricity goes off. But you know, my buddy, all these people around here, they all have deep wells. I got two 1,000-gallon containers full of rainwater. Also, you know, I can draw water out of my open well with a bucket. So I'm not in the same situation. If electricity goes out, I don't have to rely on electricity for water. Where all these other people are, they're slave to it, you know, because they all have deep wells. So what do you do? What do you do? A lot of people are, you know, well, they go outside to pee and poo, you know. They already know, I'm talking about here in the country, you know, they already know that they're going to have to do something else, or, you know, they have flushed for that last time and ain't no water coming in the tank. They line their toilet with a plastic bag. So anybody that goes in there, it's going to get tied up and you can carry it away, you know. So we are prepared. We have been through this before when stuff breaks, you know, and it might not just be, you know, everybody's electricity goes out. It might be that your pump goes out on a weekend, you know, and you can't get in touch with anybody to come out and fix your pump. What's happened? Well, the breaker is broke something, or the points are worn, or something's bad. And, you know, and you've got water in a tank that's sitting outside and you've got a little bit of water pressure, but you don't have enough to flush, you know. So what do? You know, you get out that plastic bag and you line your toilet and you go into emergency mode, you know. So, but a lot of people just, you know, especially in the city, what do you do? Or what do you know? They ain't got a clue. They ain't got a clue because they've never had their well go, you know, not because of any um, catastrophe. For them, it's a catastrophe. Their well went out over the weekend and they had to make do till Monday or Tuesday, you know, or later. But, you know, um, so, but you know, folks who don't have that, you know, if you live in the city and you've got water pressure all the time, you don't think about it, you know. But folks in the country, they rely on electricity for their water for everything, you know. And it's like me, okay, I can go out and put water in buckets and stuff and draw it out of the containers in my backyard and things because I've learned, you know, over the years, you know, my well has gone dry several times. And I'm like, no, no. So I have tanks, you know, that are full at the moment, you know. So, but Anyway, not everybody can do what I do. I understand that, but you can, have a couple of drums around with water. You can get a couple of, 35-gallon drums and paint them up and collect some. Most folks can collect a little rainwater, and that you could at least have a little backup, to be able to do a little flushing or something like that. In the carnival, but the when we were living in travel trailers for 9 months out of the year, our saying was, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. Now that's when you were in a travel trailer, and we had a tank underneath. So you didn't flush it every time because you had to save that water, and you didn't want the tank to fill up too quickly. So if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. But anyway, but for guys, you can use a pee jug, that saves the toilet issue, right? Women, you got to sit down, understand, you know, you got to pee in the bucket, understood, you know, and so unless some of you ladies know how to, do it otherwise. So so in these beautiful um, videos of these guys and gals now going out in the wilderness and cutting these houses down and stuff, but just if you've ever watched any of them, just look around their property kind of thing. Look around their area where they're walking back and forth and they're carrying logs and stuff. I don't see the first latrine or outhouse. Now, for me, one of the first things I would do would be to dig a latrine, because I could build a house all day, all week, all month long, and I can cook me a little bit of victuals every day, but I'm going to have to take a dump, you know. So, in watching these, uh, lovely videos with lovely people building things, in the wilderness, where's your outhouse? So I think, I'm going to start typing in the comments. I usually don't comment about stuff, even when some of these, shelters. I've been a carpenter and a woodworker and so forth. Have lived out here on this property for 40 years now. So I've learned a couple of things. And some of the things I've seen from some of these folks, they're ingenious. And there's some of these things I've seen by some of these folks, and I just want to go, you're a dumbass. No, don't do that. And you're by yourself? No, 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 no. You know, so there was one lady who was trying to get plywood up on a second floor, and she figured it out. She figured it out, but she liked to kill herself doing so. And she showed it. She showed herself in different venues trying to get this piece of plywood up on the second floor. And at the end, she was like, showed how she learned how to get it up there by herself. She learned how to get it up by herself. Ooh, double entendre. She learned how to get it up. Never mind. Poor taste. Twee. But so, but in this, be prepared life that everybody's talking about, and we're going to go to war and everything. Well, and there are folks who are talking about the EMP thing. My buddy yesterday was like, they're gonna put an EMP in the atmosphere, and gonna knock us all out, and we're gonna go back to the Stone Age. And I was like, okay, I won't be able to talk to you on the internet. um I don't know. Maybe if I had, this thing is battery powered. So if I had a way to charge the battery, and if the network was working, but the local EMC wasn't for some reason, then I could still broadcast or listen at least, whether I'm broadcasting or not. Um, and so I could, as long as I had a way to recharge my phone. So I got my truck. If I turned it on for 30 minutes a day or whatever, I could charge my phone. Now, let me tell you about solar as a prepper, since we're talking about prepping. The last couple of days has been severely overcast down here in South Georgia. And it started mist and rain last night. And we've had periods where it hasn't really rained, but it's been heavier than mist. Just a very light rain, but it's nice to have it. But for the last 3 days, it's been overcast. So I have got various places around the yard, um, solar powered garden lights, right? And I usually buy one a month, for example. And I'll stick it somewhere or replace one where the batteries have worn out. Well, yesterday, there was like an hour of light from my solar lights, which usually last until 1 or 2 in the morning. Okay. And even with the lights going out at 5:30, 6 o'clock now, it's dark 30. My solar lights, normally nice and bright, light up. I could look out here and see my yard lit up and could see my truck, and all. And it's pitch black out there. It was pitch black out there yesterday. Okay. And because it was overcast today, there was zero light from any of my solar lights. So all these people who are depending upon solar, because I do depend on these lights in the yard, because when Duggar's barking at something out there in the yard, I can see a lot of times what he might be barking at, right? And whether or not it's the armadillo, or whether or not it's another cat invading, or whether or not it's a possum, or and in case someone might come up, I've got 2 out here as you drive in that's lit and pointed down in the ground, but it lights up a large area. So if you was to get out of your vehicle, you wouldn't be stepping into the dark. So, but not one of them lit tonight. Not one of them. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out of 8 different solar lights, not one of them came on with the briefest bit of light. So that means there has been absolutely zero solar gain. Now, if I was really dependent upon solar activity for my house, I'd be having to run a generator today. There wouldn't be enough battery power because there's been 3 days in a row of overcast skies. So I'd be running out of, I would be out of juice now if my house was running off of solar. So it isn't, and I own, my electric bill this last month was $55. So, and I have everything that I need. But as much as these folks are trying to be preppers and you're off grid, and so what happens to your ass when it's cloudy for 3 days and you are seriously, reliant on that to recharge your battery? What do you do? Rick and Morty also had it once on their show. I missed it. $55 a month electric. Yep. This is a 25-watt bulb, for example. So where other people are using 75-watt and 100-watt bulbs, and I used to have lights on all over the house. I got a light up here, and it was light and ambient light at night, and it was a 60-watt bulb. Then I'd have this bulb over here on. Then I have a bulb in the kitchen on. There is a bulb in the kitchen on, but it's a 25-watt bulb. Okay. So everything that I've got that stays on at all is a low wattage bulb. And because I have issues with bright lights, and etc. So, but I've also noticed that if you get used to, and I read a paper years ago that people they're too dependent on extra bright lights. You got to have a 100-watt bulb in a house or in a room or something. No, you don't. A 60-watt bulb is fine. There are some folks, well, a 75-watt bulb. Well, that's actually too much. But now, if you need extra light for a project, then put the light close to you. Don't light the whole flipping room with a 100-watt bulb because you're working over here and you need extra light. No, 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 no. So, but anyway, in learning about light, 20 years ago at least, and setting lights for stage lights and so forth, I just learned a bunch about lights. And I was like, oh my God. And also because of my head concussions and so forth, and my propensity to not like bright lights, I learned that, man, I can really get by with low lighting easy. And then I started practicing with how low can I go? And this 25-watt bulb here lasts about 6 months. I just replaced this bulb. And the other one had been in here forever. And it's my night light. It stays on all night long. And sometimes into the day, like today it was dark out mostly. So this light's been on more than not today. But it's a 25-watt bulb. And I've got the shade raised, so I've got more light on my face, but normally the shade's down so it's not in my eyes. But for videos, I bring the light up. But so in prepping, I think people should learn how to get by with less lighting. Oh my God, it's like turn off the lights in whatever room you're in. And if you've got a bright light on and you're watching TV, no offense, but you're a dumbass. you know, if you leave the kitchen light on and you ain't in there, now a small, the kitchen light over the stove or something, so that when you walk in the kitchen, you don't run into something, But if you've got the overhead light on, like I've seen a lot of people do, and they're in another room and the kitchen light's on, you a dumbass. Turn it off. you know turn it off. If you've got a 125-watt bulb and turn it off. you know, use spotlighting where possible and where necessary. Don't try to light up a whole room unless it's now. There's some folks that I've seen. They've got fixtures in their house that'll take 3 bulbs, and they got a 100-watt bulb in each one of them things. So they got 300 watts of lighting. Now, thank God now they've got LED lighting, which is not necessarily good for your eyes. This is an incandescent bulb here. And I don't know if you can tell, but it puts out more yellow light than white light. Overhead, I've got a 3-bulb fixture that I screw in the bulb that I want. One is an LED light that's a 60-watt with white light, and that helps me. I'm working on certain things. The other one is a 40-watt yellow light incandescent bulb, the old style, right? So the yellow light is better for our eyes in that it doesn't do a certain thing to our brains. And the white light will, it has a tendency to mess with our lighting with our own eyes. And so why am I bringing this up? It's because, get used to lower wattage if your lights go out. Why? Because then you're not like, oh my God, it's not bright enough. I can't see. My flashlight won't work. Or maybe you should be able to get by with a candle and candle light. Now, I don't want to burn your house down. And so I'll say, well, but I have some people, oh my God, back when our lights went out recently, when when my house got struck with lightning and I had to put up till they came out the next day and fixed it. Um, one candle sitting over here, that's my emergency, one of my emergency candles. One candle, I plugged it, I plugged it in, right? I turned it on. I lit it. It lit up this whole area, and I was like, wow, I don't burn candles much, but I was surprised because I use low wattage. I was surprised at how much that candle lit up the room. It lit up all the way over to the kitchen over there. I was one candle. I was like, wow, this is really kind of cool. And thank God I've got a six-pack of candles over by the TV. I got a six-pack of candles in the bathroom. I've got a six-pack of candles in the kitchen, so I say plenty of candles, on at least on a short-term basis, but one candle will burn for several hours. So, but I've seen people that they've got to have a candle in every room burning. That's my point. Because it's not the house isn't lit up enough. Well, are the doors locked? Yeah. Do you hear noise outside? No. Is the whole neighborhood lights knocked out? Yes. Do you see anybody with a flashlight? No. Then what are you scared of? Why do you have to have a candle in every, or two or three candles in one room? It's because it makes you feel secure. Well, if you would turn off some of the lights in your house, dumbass, and get used to working with lower wattage, get some battery operated LED lights that, put one in the house that's rechargeable or something, and get used to low wattage. Why? Because you may need to. you know, if, if the other thing is that you can help keep your electric bill down. How come my electric bill is only $55? Well, I turn off my hot water heater when I don't need it. I turn off my coffee maker right after I get done brewing. Why? Well, if you leave it on, it burns a lot more electricity when you leave your coffee, when you leave the burner on. Well, I like my coffee hot. Well, okay, but you're going to pay for it. Well, what do you mean you turn your hot water heater off? Well, I turn it off if I'm not using it during the day, your hot water heater will stay hot for quite a while. And if you learn how to, when it starts going down, and you'll find out that at 110 degrees instead of 150, which is what a lot of people have their hot water heaters set at 110 degrees, you'll scorch yourself if you try to wash your hands, so, but you learn how to. Now, I don't have a dishwasher, but my hands are my dishwasher. But these dishwashers, you have to have water so hot in order to clean them and all this stuff, but that, and oh, but it saves you energy, it saves you water, and it's like, okay, all right. Okay. 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 All right. You know. So but learn how to conserve. And when you learn how to conserve, that helps you with your prepping. So it ain't just about pooping. It ain't just about having a 5-gallon bucket somewhere in the garage or somewhere, out back behind the house. Who knows? But you got something. Um, and the other thing is that if you've got one 5-gallon bucket, I got to adjust my butt. If you've got room for one 5-gallon bucket, I would suggest that you get two. And the reason for that is because you can poo in one bucket, and the other bucket you can use to tote water in. If it's raining outside like it's been today, and maybe the electricity's off and don't have any, I've got water but could use a little more, at least to splash around in, or for the dog, you put the bucket outside under the eave and it collects water. What? Yeah. Oh, and it might be enough to flush your toilet, or to wash your hands in, or to wash your dishes in, or to or something. and you can wash the dishes and then flush your toilet, use that water twice, wash your dishes, then use that gray water to flush your toilet. That's what I do with a lot of mine. So, you use it twice, you know. So if you learn how to do some of these things, then if it's ever necessary, then you already know how to do it. That's not a big deal to you. It's not like, whoa, God, what am I going to do? You just go, well, time to get out the plastic bags for the toilet because the lights went out or something, or the water system went down or whatever. So, and you make sure that in the pantry, you've got at all times, this is something on the carney we learned. All right. But you have to do it. And as you're prepping, you should do it. So in my kitchen, there are plastic bags. And then there are plastic bags that have been there like for the last 5 years. Because I won't use those plastic bags. If I got another box of plastic bags and I use them, and when it gets low, I don't go to that other box of plastic bags. I get another box of plastic bags. And somebody said, Dave, what about them? And I said, what about them? And they were like, well, what about that? You've got plastic bags. And I said, no, I don't. And they were like, well, yes, you do. And I said, no, I don't. Well, yeah, well, what's that? I said, I don't see those plastic bags. I know they're there. But I said, as long as I can still go to the store and buy plastic bags, I'm not using that box of plastic bags, because if I do, then I will be out of all plastic bags. If I run out of this box and I can't get to the store and I still need a plastic bag, I do have those, okay? But I'm not going to use those. I'm going to go to the store, and as soon as I do, I'm buying another box of plastic bags, and that one stays on the shelf. Or I might take it down and put the new box in its place. I swap out. Why? Because you should always, I got a 2-pack of paper towels in there in the bathroom. Well, this roll is running out, and so is the roll in the bathroom. And so when I go to the store in the next day or so, I'm going to buy another 2-pack of paper towels. But Dave, you've got a 2-pack in there. I know. So why are you going to buy another 2-pack? Because the 2-pack that's in there is just in case they ain't none to buy. And it ain't hurting nothing. So I'm restocking. I'm rotating stock, however you want to put it. But I'm not buying, and that's what I've learned over the years. If you got an extra of something, make sure it's always extra. What do I mean by that? Well, don't say, well, I've got 2-packs of paper towels. No, I actually only have 1 2-pack of paper towels. Well, what about that one? No, you don't count them. So you say, well, okay. Now, in the back of my mind, I know that I've got 2 2-packs. Okay. So when I go to the store, I'm not going to buy 2 2-packs. I'm just going to buy 1, because I know I got another one at the house. I got a backup. But so I'm going to replace at least 1 every time. So when you get into a rhythm of things like that, but I've seen people who will like spend down to their last dime. Like I've talked about in the carney, we had what we called HO money. You did not spend it on, and there were certain circumstances like flat tire, it's a Sunday, and you're stuck between towns, and you got to get to the next town. You go into that HO money and buy you a tire when you need it to get you, or whatever, to get you to the next town. That is a legitimate reason to use your HO money, especially if you're broke, right? But otherwise, HO money ain't for going to, the movies. HO money ain't for, playing around or going down and getting a steak dinner. The HO money, no, the HO money is for stuff you really flipping need. It's an emergency. All right. So that's why you always keep certain things. There's always a backup. You never use the backup unless it's that emergency. And you need to train. There's folks who just don't get it. Well, I still got one. No, you don't. Yes, I do. It's right there. No, you don't. Just but it's right there. I can use it. That's your emergency batch. But it's right there. But oh, Jesus. You're not getting this concept. Replace the one you just used. Well, but I got one. No, you don't. But there's one right there on the shelf. Don't look at it. Don't pay attention. But it's right there. It's like, would you shut the roll up? No, it's not there. They just don't get it. So it's like right now, and for the last couple of days, I'm out of milk, right? And it was just a crummy day, and I didn't feel like driving anywhere. So I'm like, but I've got canned milk down underneath the cabinet in there. And I got to looking, and I was like, holy shit. Because there was a point in time, I guess it's been 6 months ago at least, when every time I went to the store, I'd buy 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 cans of evaporated milk. Because, if I want coffee, I got water, I got coffee, and I got sugar. But I really like my milk and my coffee. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but I really like my milk and my coffee. So I won't drink the evaporated milk, like drink it, but I can mix it in with my coffee and it's milky and creamy and okay. So sometimes that evaporated milk is like really tastes good in a cup of coffee, especially if you like a little. I don't necessarily like cream, but it's a nice creamery kind of thing that it ain't cream. But anyway, so I got at least a dozen cans of evaporated milk. But on another shelf, I noticed that I had recently bought another 6 cans of evaporated milk, and I haven't used some of my stock, and I really do need to rotate the stock. I'm looking now at them on what? I haven't been keeping up with y'all in the. We need a beer brewer. Yep. A home brewer. Yep. I know some folks that make their own beer, and it's really good beer. And it's a lot cheaper than what they buy, and they've learned how to do different things with their brewing. So, but anyway, yeah. If you like, see, I don't drink anymore. So, and with my heart medicines and everything, yeah, it's a good thing I don't. But if I could still drink, I would be making my homemade wine like I used to did. Because I still got demijohns out there in the shed and all. I still know how to do it. I don't have any yeast, and I would have to buy some sugar, but um, hang on, I gotta go check. I gotta go check the door. Y'all hold that thought. What's up? There's something out here. I think Duggar's got him an armadillo out there. I can't see because the solar lights aren't, batteries aren't charged. Bitch about it, but to the point, it's like normally I would be able to see what he's chasing, but all I could hear is and like tiny little horses' feet running across the yard, galloping, but anyway, so where's my pipe out? It has run out. I need to find something else to put in it. But so in this thing of prepping, it isn't just about pooping, and I've been joking about it for the last hour and a half. And it isn't when you get into a severe situation and you're camping or whatever, and you're, cheeks stay together, please don't, for God's sakes, and whatever the situation is, if you're not prepared, then you just, honest to God, got a mess on your hands. So try to avoid the mess. Try to think ahead. What circumstances do you need? Like for me, I know to have a pee jug. I know I've got my paper towels. I know so I've got myself covered, and because of years of practice, right? But from being down on the river and, there's nobody in the parking lot and there's no, um, 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 porta john nearby. But you got to go. You have got to go. And what do you do? Grab the bucket, get on the high side of the truck, where in case anybody pulls into the parking lot, you're on the opposite side, and you sit on that puppy and do it. Get it done. Get her done. Throw some sand in there to cover it up, and either dispose of it there or take it home and dispose of whatever you had to take care of. But so, you figure stuff out. It's like in the carnival, you had to pee. Well, even if you had a pee jug, what do you do? So you open the door of your vehicle and you keep it closed as much as possible. So you're standing in the V of the truck, right? With the door on your, if you're in the driver's side, the door is on your left. And so you close it and you pretend you're doing something in the truck. And in the meantime, you got the jug and you're doing your business. And I had to do this standing in the parking lot of the doctor's office because I was literally peeing down my leg trying to get into the doctor's office. And I stood up, standing in the parking lot, looked around, and, but it was better than, peeing in my pants. And nobody saw me. And God bless Rhonda, but she was like, "You really have to go, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can't see nothing anyway, but, to the point, yes." And it's embarrassing. So, but that's my point. So you learn what your needs are, or if you've got children, learn what their needs are, and maybe you practice with them because they're too short to get up on that 5-gallon bucket. Well, they do make buckets that are smaller, the 3-gallon buckets that, like, other things come in, I can't think of right now, but um, and look around for the 3-gallon buckets versus the taller 5-gallon buckets. Why? Because I've got children and you can always, they're great water buckets, the shorter ones. I've got a couple of them around the house. So, and you can wash stuff in them. And if worse comes to shove and you got to poo, you can poo in it and then clean it out and then go get some more water. But you will learn that 1 5-gallon bucket ain't enough. 2's even better. So, but how do you be prepared? That's what you learn. And you take it seriously. Don't screw around. If you don't ever need them 5-gallon buckets for what we're talking about here, God bless you. Honestly, God bless you that you are not ever in a situation where it becomes mandatory that you use that 5-gallon bucket to poo in. Okay. I mean it. But it don't mean that you're never going to have that situation, or that you will never, ever, forever not have to worry about it. Because as much as I try to tell folks not to worry about situations these days, these have got to be some of the worst messed up times I've ever seen in my 71 years. And we went through the 60s with all of the tear gas bombs on the streets and all of the protesting and the war stuff and this, that, and the other thing. And that was pretty hairy back then. But as far as some of the craziness, and thank God that's not all in the streets at the moment, but with all the other craziness and the way people think, it's like, oh my God, where have we come as a as a society? I'd have thought that by now, we'd have pretty much licked segregation and all this other kind of stuff, and even affirmative action. Black folks have got a, and Mexicans and Chinese folk and even Canadians, because I've known a few Canucks in my time. And even Canadians, they're not oppressed anymore. And they can get jobs. I mean, if you can read and write and spell decently, I mean, I even know one lady that is a what it she she actually does not have a green card and is not an American citizen. And if they ever really caught her, they could send her back to the UK. And she's 70 years old. And, she's worried about getting deported, and she'd been here for 40 years at least. So, and, hid from her visa and had got married and, but I think they got married. Pretty sure. Yeah. But basically, she was supposed to have her green card and all this other stuff. She didn't get it. And, she can't pass for an American because she still has a really, you know, English show enough UK drawl, and she still uses, what she calls proper English, which is that, the trunk is still the bonnet or and go out to the car park. It's not the garage, it's the car park. I mean, just certain words. But so right away that Victoria is not a, she's been here a long time and you'd have thought she'd assimilated, but she hasn't, with her language. So, but she's about 70, 71, about my age. And she, last time I talked to her, she says, they could still deport me, and Ron is dead, and my husband's dead, and what would I do? And I wouldn't have a leg to stand on, and I don't know anybody back in my home country, and what would I do? And and just shh, don't tell anybody, just hush. You've been here this long, no, but there are plenty of people who could have made it a big deal in your lifetime, and they haven't. So quiet. The INS is not after you. you know. But there's a couple of Mexicans that live down the street from you, and they've been eyeing them. But anyway. So, but and so there are things that some people just won't learn. They, no matter how much you try to show it to them that it's just practical to have an extra something in the house. Well, but I got 2 packages of, paper towels. No, you don't. You've only got one. No, there's one other. No, you don't. That's your backup. Well, but I need it now. Nope, no, you don't. You still got some on this roll. Go to the store, get some more because you're going to have to go to the store anyway. You need dog food, blah, blah, blah. You, uh, 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 Why are you only getting 2 cans of dog food? Well, because I'll be back to the store in a day or two. Yeah, but you don't have any at home. Right. So that's why I'm getting 2 cans of dog food. Right. But your dog's going to need food on the third day. Well, I should be going back to the store by then. I'll need some bread. Well, how much bread you got? Half a loaf. So you're only going to buy two. Are you broke? No, I got, how much money you got in the bank? I got enough. So you could buy 4 cans of dog food at least because you are like out. You're almost out of bread. So, but you're going to come back to the store in 2 days when you know you're going to be out. So why not go ahead and buy a loaf of bread and buy a couple extra cans of dog food so that you have 4 days and not 2? And well, why is that? Well, do you need anything else? No, I probably won't need to really do a lot of grocery shop until next Wednesday. Well, this is Friday. Okay. So but you shouldn't you buy stuff for 4 days then? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You're going to go to the store on Wednesday. Well, I'm only going to buy 2 cans and I'll buy bread in a couple of days. Why? So then that means you have to go to the store an extra time. So why not plan on going to the store on Wednesday, what you're doing, to do your big grocery shopping stuff? But then why are you only going to buy enough to go for 2 days on something? So you have to go back in 2 more days. So then you go back on Wednesday. Now, I know people who do this stuff. Well, I'll pick up some more tomorrow. Don't you do you, now if you didn't have any money and payday was tomorrow, I get that. But there are people who have enough money because that payday doesn't really matter. I mean, they paid their bills and so forth. So why are you planning on going to the store in 2 days when you're planning on going to the store in 4 days? Have you not? Is there like a screw loose? I don't get this, you know. And there are folks. Well, I just picked up a couple of cans, or they smoke cigarettes and they smoke like 2 packs a day. So at the end of the day, they stop and pick up a pack of cigarettes. All right. So, well, I only need 1 pack. No, you don't, dumbass. You're smoking 2 packs a day. So you picked 1 pack up on the way home and you smoke half of that. So the next day, you're having to buy cigarettes again. You got to look for some place to stop to buy cigarettes. And one place is cheaper than another. So you're looking for the best buy. So you're driving around town looking for the best buy in cigarettes when if you'd have stopped where you were buying cigarettes to begin with and buy 4 packs. Well, if I buy 4 packs, I'll smoke them. Well, you're going to smoke them anyway. I used to argue with my daughter. It was like, well, I just picked up a pack. Did you not have enough to pick up 2 packs? Well, yeah. Well, then why didn't you? Well, because I only need 1 pack. For now. And by the end of the night, you and have offered a couple to your friends, and now you're out of cigarettes at 12 o'clock at night, and you still want one. And your dumbass are now want to ride to the store to get that pack of cigarettes you should have bought 6 hours ago. That people just don't think ahead. I used to just like, you're a dumbass. And this is my to me. Wait a minute. How can you be related to me and not like understand what I'm trying to get across to you? Are you really that much of a dumbass? Come on. I thought so this has things like this have to do with folks. It's like, well, I don't want to spend all my money. Well, I don't want to spend down to my last dime. Okay. I've been there, done that. I used to be broke by this time every month. And then what do? Counting pennies, selling shit. And I've learned how to not need things, you know, like I smoked half of this cigarette earlier. I'm not supposed to be smoking. I've got this pack of cigarettes here that I opened up, and there was a half a pack in here, which is 10 cigarettes. I have 3 cigarettes left in this half of one. So I monitor what I smoke. I do have to go to the grocery store tomorrow because I will be out of cigarettes, and Duggar's almost out of dog food, so it's a must. I've been out of milk, but I've got my canned milk. So I am prepared to go a couple of days after I run out of regular milk or run out of cigarettes. I got tobacco and rolling papers. And so, and I shouldn't be smoking anyway. So, but there are other people who will run out knowing that in a few hours they're going to need them. You know, this is from stocked up 10 days ago. This is my last pack of cigarettes from 10 days ago, you know, not from yesterday or a couple of hours ago. And oh my God, I'm running out. No, 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 no. So people in their prepping, they're not paying attention. Okay. That's why I bring this up. But if you're going to prep, think about it. And if you're going to buy this food and stuff from these companies, I'm warning you, you should try them. Put some water in them, shake them up, shake and bake, cook them, and make sure that what you have ordered, you will be able to eat in an emergency. Now, in an emergency, you know, you'll just about eat pig shit. Well, maybe not pig shit, but um, so it's just really nasty. So if you're going to prep, then, you know, for example, like for me, a year ago, actually, it's been more than that now. God, is it going on 2 years? One of the things that I went was like, man, things were, you know, it was COVID stuff and the shelves were kind of thin. And I went down along and I was like, what's on the shelf that's like, you know, where other things are empty and other items, you know, what's on the shelf? Tuna fish. So I was like, interesting. Now, I like tuna fish salad sandwiches. I can eat them. A fried tuna fish ain't bad. I'm not too much on certain tuna fish casseroles. And I realized it's how the casserole's made. But one thing that I've learned, and if there are things about it on YouTube, you can poke a hole in the top of a can of tuna fish, all right, and the oil from and put a wick in it and use it as a candle and burn the oil off, right? And you know it's the other white meat, you know, but it stays in the can for a long time. You can use it as a candle, and you know it ain't that hard to get out, but it's a food that it gives you good protein and so forth, and you can mix it up with other stuff. You know, if you can fry a little bit of, you know, add a little bit of ketchup or something to the tuna fish while it's cooking, and give it a consistency, and add a little bit of water to that, and you can make a gravy and put it over rice and the beans, so you can stretch them beans, and you can still have protein and fish, and you know, well, I don't like tuna fish. And what about, listen, they've already put them in cans, okay? So if it's the last thing on the shelf, grab it because nobody else is buying it. Why? Don't know, but I'll eat it and it will get me. And I can take a can of tuna fish, for example, and throw it in the bottom of my kayak. And if I get stuck somewhere on the river or whatever, I can open it up. I can use the oil as a candle if I'm stuck on the river. Find something for a wick, like a stick, and I can eat the tuna fish because it's already cooked most of the time in the can, and I can eat it raw, and I've got food. And they have chicken in cans, but you can't use the oil like the same way, but it still is, you know. So you can have cans of meat on your shelf in there, and I do, and I'm going to have to do some uh, 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 crop rotation. Ooh, 5 minutes. We got another 20 coming up. Um, try Ace Combat. So, what should try? Oh, y'all are talking about simulators. I smoke rolling tobacco, Golden, Virginia. You started early. Well, I'm fixing to, but I've been sitting here running my mouth. And I'm still holding a cigarette that I want, but I'll wait until after. But so anyway, when prepping things, so there are things that serve a double duplicate kind of sort of thing, um, wow, it's not just food, but, and it's not just convenient. Well, I've got chicken, cooked chicken that's in tins like tuna fish is, you know, and they're like $1 a can or something like that, back in, but the thing is that there's nothing wrong with the can. All right. And they're small, but one can is one meal at least. And if you mix it with something else, you can stretch it to 2 meals. Now, as a prepper, here's something else that folks need to learn. Prep for a pro. Prep for poo. Oh, I thought it said pro. Prep for poo. Yeah, absolutely. But, if you prep yourself for what you eat, you can control how much you poo. And that's sort of what I'm trying to get at with this next segment, in that, we got 3 minutes left for the 20. But this idea that you need 3 meals a day is absurd. Okay. That's why there are so many people that are overweight. All right. I've been 180 pounds now for a year. I have um, violated. I have, I've been 182. I've been 178, but I have been 180 pounds literally at least for the last year. Okay. Because I'm monitored and all, but I'm watching what I eat. So everybody says, oh, well, have you gained any weight? No. Well, how do you know? Because I'm 180 pounds. Boom. And I step on the scale and they do the thing and they go 179 and 3/4. I told you 180. Yeah, well, damn. Well, last time you was here, you was 180 pounds. And oh my God, the time before that, you was 180 pounds. And it's every 2 months, right? So for 2, 4, 6 months, last 6 months, well, Mr. Dell, for the last 6 months, you've been 180 pounds. You haven't gained or lost. That's, proper, in and out kind of thing. So, but this idea, and I don't eat 3 meals a day. Now, if I'm hungry when I first get up, then I go get me a munchie, but I don't eat this full breakfast. Now, there are times when I might want a full breakfast, but this idea that I have to have a full breakfast is nonsense. Okay. So, and over the years, I've learned about that. So, learn that you do not need 3 meals a day. You can have 1 meal a day and small snacks. So 1 MRE a day, not 3. Well, here's one for breakfast. No, 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 no. Here's one for lunch. No. 1 MRE a day. That's your bottom line. Okay. So, back in the day, I was like, well, what do I require? Well, for example, Progresso makes these cans of soup and stuff, and there's one that I like, and so I've got several cans of it, because one can of it and like, a half a cup of rice cooked, or some noodles, you know, and with a little something else, because that Progresso is not really a soup, but it is. And if you mix it with other stuff, it's almost like a stew. And so, but one can, and a little bit of rice, and that's for a day. Well, it used to be that I could get one of those cans of Progresso that also has the pop top lid, which is also convenient if you're camping. Um, so, but one can, and like I said, some um, some pasta or rice, a whole day's meal, and I will eat half of it, like for lunch, and then save the rest of it for supper, right? And if you're not really hungry at supper time, you can leave a small portion for breakfast in the morning. That's a little leftover, and you've mixed a little bit of the rice and stuff together, and it's just a handful, but it gives you something to munch on in the morning if you're one of those ones that needs something for breakfast. So, in the, I would say for folks, learn how to eat one meal a day. You can have some toast or something in the morning or a bagel or whatever, but this idea that I gotta have two strips of bacon and two eggs and a piece of toast and this and that's, you know, um, maybe for the youngins, but us older folks, we don't need that kind of thing. Now I know there are folks that are mixing stuff in a blender and they're drinking it down. Well, okay. It's 20, ain't it? Yep. Happy 20, everybody. In maintaining my weight for the last year, I'm at 180 pounds. It's still too heavy for me, but here I am. Ooh, that went down the right plate. Um, that, when you watch what you eat, yet I also watch what I poo because I don't eat 3 meals a day, I'm not having to poo those 3 meals a day. So why is this important? Well, if you're in an emergency situation showing up now, not maybe just for a day or two or whatever, you could kind of maintain your schedule of, well, the lights are going to be out for a couple of days. Okay, well, then you might go ahead and have 3 meals a day. But to the same point, though, if you're limited with water, then you're going to need to wash dishes and cook and this. So you might find that some bitch, I'm only going to eat 1 meal today because I need water for cleaning and this and that. And you're going to find out that because you have filled up your gut more, you're going to have to sit on that toilet more, right? And then you're going to have to dispose of the waste, and you're going to have all these other things that you don't normally have to take care of. So if you watch what you eat, and especially how much, then what comes out, because it's gonna come out the other end. The amount that your body actually requires for what you eat is very minimal. You need a certain amount of minerals and spices and such and everything. But if you're eating like I was 250 pounds. So I know about it. I was 50, 60, 70 pounds heavier than I am. 70 pounds heavier than I am now at 180. 70 pounds heavier, right? And there are people who are 210, 20 pounds who don't need to be 220 pounds, but they have to maintain their weight because they're hungry and their stomachs are stretched. So they need them 3 meals a day. Like I used to have to, have 2.5 plates of at lunch every day, and then supper, and then, ice cream and popcorn and in the evenings for the movies, like almost every day. So, but this idea though that if you learn how to get by with less, it doesn't mean that you can't have it. But I used to have a bowl of popcorn this big around, it like this deep, you know. But I have a huge popcorn maker too. It's like a giant popcorn maker. It is. It's as big as the kind. It's the biggest one you can buy. at least at the time. They may make them bigger now, but it's as big as the kind that are that are in the movie theaters. It's that big because I bought it for being a carny. So just like I have a cotton candy machine that I haven't used in a couple of years, but still got it. But anyway, so when I eat popcorn now because I don't have any teeth, eating popcorn just it ain't no fun. It hurts, So that's okay. But I do miss my popcorn. But to well, is it fattening or whatever? Well, when you pour a bunch of butter on it, it is, and then you pour something else on it. But so if you prepare yourself now, and some would say for the inevitable, and I do know that there's some. Oh, I left the dog out. There's some crazy shit going on out there in the world. And we don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. And I'm not trying to scare anybody or everybody, but the biggest thing is don't be afraid, um, prepare. And the best ways to prepare are like to learn how to eat smaller amounts of. Somebody early on mentioned oatmeal. Oatmeal's great, but I don't like oatmeal without a little bit of milk and sugar. you know just plain old flat out oatmeal. Now I don't need much milk and I don't need much sugar, so make sure that you got a little sugar and you got a little canned milk. So, well, I don't know. Well, in canned milk, um, if you put it in a cool place, will last overnight without spoiling, unless it's really hot outside or something. But if you just keep it in a cool place in the kitchen or something, you don't even have to put it in the refrigerator. You can leave it sit out. It will be okay because it's evaporated milk. And put a little cup on it or something, or they made covers for them back in the day. Now, and I say that you could put it on the counter. Like for me, if I want to go back for coffee, I don't have to put it in the refrigerator. So if the lights are out and there's no electricity, I don't want to be opening and closing the refrigerator door. So the evaporated milk to have in my coffee, which has been unplugged, I can still have my coffee. I can still use a little bit of creamer thingy, and so I can still get it stuff. Well, I don't like cold coffee. Well, then tough shit. Well, did you know that you could, if you've got a gas stove, that you can put that glass thing that goes under your coffee maker? If you're careful, you can put it on a propane stove and heat the coffee up a little bit so you don't have to drink cold coffee. Do you have propane at all in a cook stove or something? Even you can your coffee, you could just take it and put it over in a little alcohol stove or a sterno stove. You can still have hot coffee, just learn how to plan on it. So, be prepared and don't wait until it happens. Turn off the lights one day and practice. Pick a weekend and go, this afternoon the lights are off. And, even when it gets dark tonight, we're going to be, family, we're going to be working with candles and we're going to be camping because I have pulled the main, breaker on the house and we're pretending that the lights are out, because they are. We can turn them on at any time, but that's not the point. Tonight we're going to practice with the lights out and see how it goes. Find out what you need. If you have an upstairs, is there some kind of light or something you can put on the stairs if you have to go up and down? Did you find out about the toilet, or what did you find out by turning your own lights off and using some of your ideas? It's like, okay, gang, there's a toilet in there, and yes, we got water, but we're gonna poop in the 5-gallon bucket. Everybody's gonna, if you gotta pee, you gotta poop, you're gonna do it in the bucket. We're gonna see how this works. Okay. And oh my, whatever. But the thing is, if you learn how to do it, then if you have to do it, it won't be such a big deal. It really won't. And if you got family members or whatever, or kids or something, you need to practice with them. So in this weird time in our lifetimes going on now, do yourself a favor and practice for the poo. And it's not just the poo, it's the what about the water? And what about the container? And what about the, how much food I'm taking in? What about that? It's a practice for all of the above. It ain't just a bucket to poo in. It's the practice with everything else. And it's to get in the mind frame. God, I really love my toilet seat. you know, I really like the fact that we have running water. And when you don't have it, and when you practice it, and then you go back and go, I am so glad that we have running water. It will make you appreciate what you really do have. The Romsk. Old Gods of Asgard, Harold. Oh, y'all still talking about shut your mouth, Junior. Just poop in the bucket, right? Basically, yep. Or if you got to pee, go outside behind the house. Of course, when growing up in Florida, mom wouldn't let us in the house. Unless even if we had to poo, we had to go somewhere in the neighborhood. She wouldn't let us in the house. Um, I heard that. But so anyway, I got to go let the dog in, and I've been here 2.5 hours almost. There are 9 of you still on. I want to say thank you to all of you subscribers. I know I say thank you probably not enough, but thank you, thank you, thank you for being my subscribers. My subscribers. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being friends with each other. Thank you for sharing what you know and y'all hanging out in the chat room and chatting about stuff that I don't even know about. Because, I don't care, Amber Dawn. eh, you know, and I like hanging out with y'all. And I get these weird thoughts in my head. And I was like, I have wanted to talk about this poo thing for a while, and then and what I monitor a bunch of channels, and certain things are like this is the subject that my folks are like here, watch this video this week or today or whatever. We want you to learn about physics today, and for the next couple of days, I'm watching videos on physics, or that video I did last week, I think, and and I need to change the title too, to the moon, and a discussion where I talked about different things about the moon. And so folks can come in and go, well, I'm talking about prepper things and not just pooping, but they are poop related in how much we eat and where we're going to put it and how we're going to do it. And but everybody's got their own situation at where they live, so you need to work that out. you know Now, if you're running from the law, so to speak, you're trying to get out of the city and it's a bad situation, and you're basically running, got to get out. You're taking your stuff. You got your minimal things that you're taking with you. Do you have a bucket? Do you have a bucket in the trunk? There's a lot of shit you can stuff in that bucket so it doesn't take up twice as much space. Do you have plastic bags and a couple of rolls of paper towel in your trunk? That's simple. But if you don't have a bucket, do you got something to wipe with? Do you have something you can clean up with? Do you have some, like Gojo? Do you have some hand cleaner? And I don't mean some little old hand gel or something. No, I mean, do you have some hand cleaner? It's $2 a thing, and you squirt it. Get some Gojo. Do you have that in your trunk or in your truck, whatever? Do you have that? Well, I don't know. Well, you could break down if you poo on yourself, or if you have an accident, or if you can use some Gojo and take a damn bath. You know, do you have any wipes with you? They stick in little corners in your trunk. They don't take up much space, but you'd be surprised if you didn't have them and you needed them. They would damn sure come in handy, and you'd go, oh my God. So there are things that you can prep with that are sort of related to poo, and that cleaning up, or how am I going to wipe, or what am I going to do, or for me, like I got to blow my nose, so all of these different things, you know. Hey, if any of you all have ever written a song, I could use some advice. I've written several songs, but what do you need some advice on? Do you want it to rhyme with iambic pentameter? But anyway, think about it. You know, think about it. And in the planning of stuff, prepping is not just, well, I need an extra one of these. Well, maybe you do, but you might be getting extra stuff that you don't need. And as a Boy Scout, and oh God, I take too much shit with me when I go places. But there are certain things that I make sure I have, no matter what, you know. I got a little fanny pack. You know what's there are two knives in it. One of us is great, some big some bitch, you know. And one of the I have a knife and fork spoon combination. That's one of them fold out thingies. Why? Because they come in handy all the time, and I don't ever have to worry about silverware because they're always. I got silverware on this one thing that you just fold out. And there's two or three extra lighters always. Why? Because if I need to build a fire, I've got at least a striker. Well, what about starting a fire with a bow and a string and all that? Well, yeah, I know how to start your fire. you know um, and if I run out of lighters, I do know how to make a fire that other way. But there's so many videos about how to start a fire, that carry a lighter in your goddamn pocket, or in your fanny pack or whatever. There are a lot of little things, literally little things that you can take or have or be with you, that if you get stuck in your car or whatever, you can use these items, you know. There are these little tiny um little flashlights. They're the little lights that go on your cap, for example. They're really small. I got one or two of them hanging over there from the loft, and they take the little button. I think they're the CR13 things. The 13s, the common button batteries. But I've used one, and when I was down on the river, and clipped it to the front of the kayak, and it got me home, but 3 hours worth of burning, and it was fine, and but they're really slim, and they're easy to carry, and you can clip on and slide them onto things and whatever. And some of them have two or three settings, and they're like $1 or $2 at Walmart, so they're really cheap. But in an emergency, and you don't have to have some great big flashlight. You can have this little tiny, this small little deal, that slips into corners and stuff, and can go in your fanny pack, or make a fanny pack and put it in your car and or truck. And and it has these particular things in it, and you don't take them out. You buy them, whatever it needs to go in there, and you leave them in that fanny pack, you know and it's like, well, if I need to go somewhere, or if I go camping, I've got my little fanny pack in the front of the truck. I went out there and checked yesterday, and yep, it's still there. I've lost a set of earplugs things, and it's like the remote control. They're gone. The remote control disappeared. These were purple, you know, ear things with a microphone on it. The shocking pink, and they used to be right over there on the table where the remote control was. That both of them are now missing. They are kaput. They are gone. I've cleaned under the couch and all around. They're gone. There's no way they're gone. They're gone. And there's something else that's missing. I can't figure out what it is, but it's like there's something missing. you know, but I don't know what. But there's some. I'll find out. I'll go looking for something to go. Some bitch, that's what's missing. Them damn uh, kaput. Very good, kaput. Uh, so in your lifetime and what you do, I don't know. You know, I've been camping since I was 9, 10 years old. So by being a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout and camping and doing those kinds of things, then um, I get and have done some backpacking and things. So you take everything you need and it's in your backpack. And something else I will bring up since I'm talking about small things and this and that. I watched this one video of this guy, and he was talking about needing things and having had small things that in big packages kind of thing. So, but anyway, he had gotten into a situation, and one of the things that he had in his pack. Now, I wouldn't have carried this, you know, because I'd be going camping, but even going camping, he had his toothbrush and toothpaste and dental floss. And something happened, and he didn't have any rope and he didn't have things, but he had the dental floss. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like he had gotten caught in a storm and he had blah, blah, blah. And because he found that he could use the dental floss, he made himself a shelter using the dental floss. He used it to hang something with the dental floss. I mean, I was absolutely amazed at the stuff that he did with one little package of dental floss. And it's a couple of bucks, but it's so strong that you could use it literally for cutting through things. And you could use it for this and you could use it for that. And it would tie stuff together and it was waxed and it was like, and he did all of this with one little package of dental floss. And I was like, wow. Now you could put a thing of dental floss in your glove compartment and you say, well, what good is that? Here's the thing, you don't know. That little package of dental floss at some point might save your goddamn life. Who knows? And it's still dental floss. You can still use it for what it is. But who knew that because it's so strong that it'll almost hold up a human being. It's so strong. And so, don't toss it out and don't just think, well, that's just stupid. He didn't think it was stupid because it saved his life. So now in my quote emergency kit, now I don't have any dental floss I don't think, in my fanny pack. But as I'm sitting here talking about, it is in my little backpack that I take with me, but it's not in my fanny pack. And it doesn't take up much space, and it wouldn't be a bad idea because I take the fanny pack with me when I go kayaking, right? Or in the canoe or boat or something. So, but anyway, that time that I got cut, I could have tied my finger off with it. I could have used that where I was holding it on with my finger and I was spurting out blood when I cut my finger that time. I could have used the dental floss to have tied my makeshift bandage on my finger, where instead I had to hold it and try to paddle with it and and get back. And so that dental floss would have come in handy. you know Small string, easy to carry, easy to put, just slip in your damn pocket. So dental floss, who would have thought? But so I'm trying to pass along some of these little itty bitty thingies, but these little bitty bitty tidbits that I'm sharing with you can damn sure come in handy, especially now, for me, I go off on places that a lot of folks won't go, right? I go to the end of the road and then keep going, right? Um, well, the pavement ended. Yeah, well, is there anywhere? Yeah, there's a 2-lane track. Well, I keep going if there's not a fence or a gate that I can't get through. So I don't know what it is that you like to do or what you do in your lifetime or whatever, or what you might get into, camping or otherwise. But but if you're just dangling around the house and you've got most of stuff that you need. But if you're in your car somewhere, and even if you're headed home and you get trapped between here and the house and something happens, like that time, we're coming up on a yearly anniversary of when, coming home that one night from Moultrie, there was this man who had had an accident and who had lost his leg in the accident. And we had to get him out of the truck and put him on the side of the road. And, there, I wished that I'd had a couple of things in my car that would, and, I needed something for a tourniquet, for example, and was looking around going, what am I going to use? If I'd have had some, dental floss, I could have made a tourniquet, easily, and it would have been thin, but I could have wrapped cloth around it when all I had was some cloth. So you say, well, I could have used that. Well, what good would that have done? Well, I didn't know that there was going to be somebody that had had a wreck, and that, we were going to be dealing with somebody till the ambulance got there, which took a while, with somebody that lost their leg, you know? And in the middle of the road when it was cold at 11:30 at night, or 12:30 at no, it was one, it was after one. But so cold dark night in South Georgia, and nobody came, and here's this man that had lost his leg and laying in the middle of the road. Well, he was laying in his truck, but we pulled him out and put him in the middle of the road where it was safer because his truck was on fire. But so depending on where you live and your circumstances, you don't know what's coming up. You do not know what's going to happen next. You could be sitting at the house and a freaking meteor come through your roof. And it happened to a person, a lady and her husband, or at least a lady I know, up in Atlanta a few years back, where this meteors literally came through the roof and landed in their bed. And I think it like landed right next to her head or something. You don't know what's going to happen. Um, and especially if you live in a bad neighborhood or something like that, and folks talking about that, if you lived in South Chicago, God knows what would happen next. But, so I say some of these silly little things that other people might not think about, like now backpacking or hiking or something. The thing about the dental floss, absolutely. Now it might not come in near as much handy in your car, if you're riding around or something, you break down, but you never know. But something that I would suggest that does not take up much space if you're a prepper person is to get a spool of um, builder's yarn. Okay. And you can get a big old thing of it for $5. You can build a house, literally, if you know what you're doing. You can build a house with that nylon twine, the builder's twine. And you can get 1,000 feet or 1,000 yards of this stuff on a spool, and you should have a roll of duct tape. You should have a spool of that builder's yarn. You should, or builder's twine, not yarn. And some people said they buy, they buy the manila rope kind of twine. Okay, but that's not near as strong and it's going to come apart. Get the builder's twine. It's got like a 250-pound test kind of thing. 250 pounds, you for this little string. And if you double it, it's 500 pounds because it's 250. And then you're coming back the other way. That's another 250. That's 500 pounds that you can pull mostly. There's a snapping rate as well, but you have the potential, if you do it 4 or 5 times, to pull a vehicle out of a ditch. you know so um don't like poo-poo an idea, because I've had a spool of builder's twine. It doesn't go bad. If it's been in the sunlight, it will deteriorate. If it's been in the dark or in your trunk or something like that, it'll be good for the next 20 or 30 years. Why do I know? Because I've had a roll of twine for the last 25 years, and it's still good after 25 years. It's still a tight spool. It's still good after 25 years. Literally, because I've had it that long. My God, I can't believe it. I've had this spool of twine for 25 years. Yeah. So will it last? Yes. How do I know? Because I got some. And I'm 71 years old and I've tried some of this stuff before. And I got a swamp in my backyard, and I've been camping and stuff. I've been stranded in places, and so I've learned a few things, right? So some of the stuff I'm yakking at you about, don't take them as a, well, I'll never use that. Well, okay, so what about builder's twine? Well, yeah, and you in your but my point is, you never know if you're going to need something until you need it. And a little spool of builder's twine or something in your trunk, or something over here, or some, in your glove compartment, some dental floss, and maybe use it, maybe you don't. But how much does this take up? How much does it take up space? You never know. You just never know. So and in this day and age with just stuff, and I don't mean necessarily, there are emergencies of all kinds. It might not be something for you, but somebody else might need you, and they might need your building twine. And you go, oh my God, I never thought that this would come in handy. And you end up using, somebody else needs the building twine or the dental floss. So like me being there, in the middle of the road, when it was somebody else's leg that was cut off and the accident and everything, I had an extra jacket in the back of my truck, my back seat of my car. And I had something else in my trunk. Why was it there? Well, just in case. And we actually needed it to prop the guy's head up, and we were using it to prop up one leg to treat him for shock. So, man, like I said, could have used something like a piece of rope or something for a tourniquet, but thank God he wasn't bleeding out. So that was nice. That was convenient. But you never know. So and especially for those folks of us who live in the country. So but the simplest of things, like some gojo, or a small little, like, for example, I got used to, and I didn't used to, but an old pair of working gloves, you know but heavy duty ones, not the, but even a pair of cloth gloves is better than none. And you go, well, why? There's been some times, and when something was too hot to handle, and you needed to grab something, an engine or this or something, like, the guy's truck was on fire, for God's sakes. And there were parts of his truck that were really hot, and you needed a glove to move this or that or something, a hot radiator hose, a hot something else, or, so having a glove of, one of them leather gloves, a pair in the trunk. You bust a tire or something, you get out the gloves and it doesn't bust your knuckles. And, and you can do simple things and your hands aren't dirty, you know. And so carrying a pair of gloves ain't such a bad idea, and God forbid you'd need them for something else. And for those folks who live in cold weather or whatever, to have an extra pair of gloves would just come in handy. And you say, well, what do I need them in the summertime down here in Georgia for? Well, because sometimes your radiator overheats or this other thing, and you need them, and it's because you have to deal with something that's really hot or hotter than you can handle with your hands. So, or it's just messy. It's just messy, oil or something, and you're halfway to town and you get into this messy situation and you put your gloves on, you deal with it, you take them off, and now you can still go to town and not be gunky. You can still put your hands on the steering wheel. So there are a lot of little tiny things that don't cost much, and it's like, but you never know. It could save your ass. It could just absolutely save your ass. Or you're really thankful that you thought about it. Like, God almighty, I'm so glad I got an extra pair of gloves in my car. Wow, they're just back there they're under there with the tire and everything. But man, I'm sure glad I got them. It got me out of I sure am glad I got an extra this little bit of twine, or I sure am glad I got this little bit of something, you know. So it ain't just about pooping, but that extra roll of paper towels can get you in a situation where you need to clean up. And I'm you got a look one of them little squirt bottles of some Gojo. Clean up, do a thing, and it smells good too. And you can wipe it off with a paper towel, and dispose all, blah blah blah. And wow, that's there's, instead of going, ooh, what am I gonna do, and blah blah blah, um, and the island flights are like taxi prices. Wow. And fly with you can fly with weed if you want. Whoa. And where is this? The Rumsk. Where are you at now? You're doing high island hopping? and and depending on who you are and where you are and what you are, always make sure that you've got a decent knife in your vehicle. Now, I've got an old timer that's got a blade on it that's like this long, okay? And that's about 5 inches. It might be a 6 inch blade. I've not measured it, but it's a folding knife, okay? I have had it for the last 25, 30 years, at least, maybe 35 years. I've had it a long time, okay? And it's in my fanny pack, and it's really heavy and clunky, but it's in my fanny pack, and I know where it is. I know where it lives, and it stays in my truck. But if I'm getting in the boat or something, or the kayak, it goes with me, but it stays in my truck. And why do I have, and it's sharp. Let me tell you, it's sharp. Um, and that's if I was to get trapped in my vehicle, I can reach my fanny pack, even with my seatbelt on, and unfold that knife and cut me out of my seatbelt. There are other kinds of knives. I got a pocket knife, but it'd be hard to get out of my pocket, and I would have to saw at the seatbelt to get me out. But if I was trapped and I couldn't get out or whatever, and I was like, so, but I've got this knife that it would take me one or two or maybe three swipes, but I would cut myself out of my own seatbelt, or somebody else that might be trapped. I could cut them out. And they've been in situations where you might come across somebody that's trapped in a vehicle and they can't get out, and people are tugging on the seat belt and they're trying to get out. If I saw somebody trapped, I would grab my big old knife and go over there, and I would have them cut out in a minute, you know. So, but but it's good for camping. It's good for other stuff. I've sliced and diced meat and stuff and everything, camping and stuff. I've used it to cut insulation. I've used it in all kinds of, but biggest thing of all is that if I ever needed, if I was trapped, all I'd have to do would be to open that puppy up and cut me out. So, for me, and now I have been in accidents and it been easy to have been trapped. Um, and I know what it's like. But the other thing is, after having been on the highway and that somebody else was trapped in a burning vehicle, thank God that we could get him out, that his seat belt worked. But had he been trapped, I had my knife, you know. So, my dear friends, it's been 2 hours and 47 minutes. You know, there are a lot of other ways that you can prep with small little things that'll go a long, long way. So, I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many, many blessings in the universe. Now, I don't ask folks to share my videos much, but if you find that this video was a little bit interesting, especially about prepping or whatever, feel free to tell folks, hey, look, Crazy Dave has done this video about, poop prepping, that, there he's got some good ideas. They really are good ideas. But whether or not you share it, that's always up to you. So, but anyway, I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And that if you need to, that the good Lord will show you the way with some of these simple things that you can be prepared for stuff that you was like, I never would have thought I'd have needed something. And then all of a sudden you do. And I'm not saying that we're wishing bad on folks, but some of the things that I've mentioned, thank you. Something else that you should have in your vehicle and on you at all times: paper towels and a bucket to poop in, and a box of plastic bags, and some baby wipes. They always come in handy. But here's something else. For a dollar or two or whatever they are at Walmart or the dollar store, depending on where you can find them, the um, the emergency blankets, the plastic mylar stuff that's in a small little package. Have a couple of them. They're cheap. You can save your butt from dying. They work. Okay. I have been in a situation where I was in my kayak and it got really cold, and I wasn't prepared, and I had two of them, and I wrapped myself one way with one and wrapped myself around with the other one, and paddled back at 4 o'clock in the morning on the river, and I was absolutely cozy, and I could fold them up and reuse them. So for $1, for $2, it really came in handy. So those emergency blankets are really good for a lot of stuff, not only in keeping you warm, but they reflect heat. You can build a shelter out of the puppies if you got a couple of them. So, and they're really thin. They're easy to carry. You can put them in your back pocket if you needed one. And you can cut a hole in the top and put your head through and wear it like a poncho in the rain. They are very versatile, and they're cheap. So I love you, my brothers and sisters. Keep up the good work. It's hump day, so you only got a couple more days till the end of the week. And I'm glad that I can come to you again via my cell phone. And the dog's been pounding at the door for the last half hour. And Duggar's like, let me in. It's wet outside, but he's the one that keeps barking in here and wanting to chase something. So hell with it. I'm going to leave him outside. If you want to chase something, you're already there. But I do need to go let him in. So I love you all. Be safe. And you're coming up in 15 minutes on a 20. I just can't wait. I got to go let him in, and I got to go do my own business. So please be safe. And please take some of the stuff that I've talked about and just go, at least put it in the back of your brain and go, not a bad idea. Whether you ever get, dental floss and put it in your glove compartment or not. But if you do any kind of backpacking or anything, any kind of camping, oh my God, keep some. You'll find out, son of a bitch, it came in handy. I'm just saying. But anyway, I love you all and take care. And Richard and Chloe and uh, the Romps and anybody else, because I, I can't see who's in the chat at all. So thank you all for being my friends. Thank you for being a friend, up and down the road and back again. You know, the pal is, you're a pal and a confidant. So thank you, Richard. You know, thumbs up, everybody. Yep. Uh, if he's mad at me, it's the way he pounded on the door. He's like, let me know. Can't. Boom, boom, boom. Because he's over there. And normally it's just a tap. Now it's been raining outside and it's chilly, so it's not real conducive. But he's the one that's been barking and wanting out. So the hell with it. And just getting up and down and getting up and down and getting up and down just because he wants to go see what it is. And I can't help it because it's been raining. Thank goodness we've been getting rain actually, but. But anyway, I'll keep on talking another 50 minutes if I don't shut up now. So I love you all. Be safe, okay? Until next time. How do I turn this thing off? All right. Oh, and I found out why some of my videos weren't posting, because when I'm using YouTube on this device, it saves it as private. And I have to go in there after it's uploaded and make it public. Even though when I set up the parameters for the videos for them to be public and for anybody to see, the I guess it's Android or whatever, because I'm using my cell phone, it saves it to private, and then I have to go back in and change the setting after it's uploaded. By the way, I just found that out the other day, so thought I would share that. Why are your videos, not going on public? That's because the YouTube and cell phones save them to private. Whether it doesn't matter how I set it up, it still saves it to private. But anyway, I love you all. How about that mess? Ooh, it's been fun learning new stuff. But y'all be safe, and be nice to one another as much as possible. And Richard, I know you hate your neighbor, but don't leave burning bags of poo on their front porch. I saved that till the end. So. But anyway, Muchas gracias, mi amigos y mi amigas.